righty, good morning. It is 9:30 on Monday, April 27. This is Ms. Hodges, and I'm going to come on and hopefully do this video very quickly. So it is Monday, and if you have been on Google Drive, or rather when you go on Google Drive, and if you've been on the YouTube playlists, good morning, you'll have noticed that a lot of things are deleted, and that is because Monday is a fresh start. So I do not want you to go back into old folders. I want you to start completely fresh today. So that means I don't want you going back to old things or going back and digging up things. Everything I give you today is what you need. So with Mondays, I want to remind everybody how to be successful. So if you are not checking Google Drive, you will not do well with these assignments. Everything in this video is on Google Drive. And what I've said to a few people is maybe the first thing you want to start doing is you want to go to Google Drive before 9:30 and you want to set your paper up. Because you guys know every day you have to set your paper up the way I have mine set up. We're not writing essays. How are we going to get handwriting, spelling practice? How are we going to get practice writing? This way. So you have a front, and again, this is on Google Drive, and then I've written you something on the back as well. So you don't need two pieces of paper, you just need a front and a back. Okay, the date is written at the top, your name is written at the top, and then you've got 3 things to do every day. Watch the video, leave a meaningful comment, and then take and send a photo of your work. This is a checklist that you should be using. If you're just writing this and then not looking at it again, you're not using it correctly. Use this to help you see what you need to do next. Okay, and last Friday, I told you guys that your progress reports I'm putting in today. That is true. So all your assignments today are independent, and then you're gonna have a chance, some of you, to boost your grade today. So here we go. Your first assignment for today is to update the plot mountain that we've been working on last week. So if you have not done the plot mountain last week, it's okay. There's a photo of this on Google Drive and it's completely updated. But you need to listen very carefully because I'm going to remind you what is a plot mountain. So we know that in stories have lots of tension, and characters don't just have one problem, they have multiple problems. And as you guys get older, books get way more complicated because you have so many more things to keep track of. Not just multiple problems, but multiple characters and multiple settings. So we have what's called not just a plot mountain, a double plot mountain. What we're doing, yeah, great. You can think of it like the tension in the story, the downs. We're tracking Amina's school life in this book, and we've tracked Amina's home life in this book. But I was thinking, when I read, because I've read the entire book yesterday, I went ahead and finished it. We shouldn't just say Amina's home life, because home life isn't just in your house, is it? It includes a few places. So I made a little change to my, I'm not rewriting this, I'm taking my old mountain. I kind of said community, because home is in the area around her neighborhood. I'm going to kind of put in her family, it's more like her community. So I'm going to read everybody what we should have on our plot mountain so far. And I'm going to remind you, a plot mountain is to keep track of the tension. So right here, I wrote this last week. It says, what was the tension or conflict in the chapter? Where did it happen? And who was involved? Those are the questions you ask yourself to add to plot mountain. Okay, I'm going to read the entire plot mountain. So if you've not read chapters 1 through 4, it's okay. Today is your fresh start. I'm going to retell you everything we've read so far so everyone can start fresh. Okay, and you can use your plot mountain to follow along. The first chapter in our book started at school, and that was where we met Amina. And Amina had a really big heart problem. She said that she had stage fright, and that was something that was going on inside her heart. And her stage fright was preventing her from trying out for a singing solo. So that was one conflict. That was one tension, was Amina has stage fright, and it happened at school. But there was another conflict or tension in chapter 1, And it was that Amina was having a relationship conflict. And you guys can type it in the comments if you know what already happened in chapter 1. Amina was having a friendship conflict also at school, but who was involved? Her best friend Sujin. So there were 2 conflicts in chapter 1. And you'll use Google Drive to make sure that your map matches mine. And that was everything that happened in chapter 1. We met our character Amina. Singing was important to her, but she had stage fright. And then she was having relationship conflict with her friend Sujin. Then we read chapter 2. And chapter 2 was interesting because Amina had conflict at school and home. In chapter 2, Amina had to go to back to school night. And the tension happened, the conflict happened with her father because she was embarrassed by him at back to school night. Her dad was asking all these millions of questions. So we went ahead and said that was the conflict in chapter 2. But also, when they left that school night and came home, there was some tension at home in chapter 2. And it wasn't Amina's tension. Who was it with? Her brother Mustafa. In chapter 2, we had a lot of tension because Mustafa got a lot of pressure from her father, Baba, and her mother as well. They put a lot of pressure on Mustafa to do well in school. So we said, what was the tension? It happened at home. And who was it? It was Mustafa. So we put that in chapter 2. And I even put CH2. Okay. Then you guys had to read chapter 3. I didn't read you chapter 3. And chapter 3 had a big conflict at school again. And it was because Amina was doing a group project with Sujin and with a student we know, Emily, that she doesn't get along with, and another boy, Bradley. But in chapter 3, there was tension in the group project. It was relationships, again, was a big problem. And it happened with all of those different people. So I went ahead in chapter 3, see how I put CH3, and I put group project conflict, because where was the tension? The group project. Emily, and I wrote again. I wrote Emily again. And you don't have to have the exact same words. But that was what chapter 3 was all about. Chapter 3 was all about this group project that was going wrong and they were having tension. Okay? And then on Friday, I read you guys chapter 4. And some of you guys didn't listen to chapter 4. It's okay. I'm going to tell you what happened in chapter 4. In chapter 4, there was this big, not party, but get together. And it was Amina and her cousin and Mustafa and his cousin and aunties and uncles were talking to mom and dad. It was just like they were all in the house visiting. And Amina and her cousin, they were singing and they were like on YouTube and they were just having a normal relationship. But it was the tension in the chapter, the conflict in the chapter was when Amina overheard a conversation. And Amina was listening into a conversation about her uncle. And a lot of you might be going, oh yeah, because her uncle's been mentioned a couple times so far. So there was tension in this chapter because Amina overheard a conversation about her uncle. And it was that her parents were nervous about uncle's visit. So in chapter 4, there was tension building about uncle's visit. And again, pause the video. This is on your Google Drive, but this is how we use the plot mountain, is we're keeping track of the tension, where it happened, and who it was with. So even if you've not been reading the book, I've totally caught you up. You know, Amina wants to sing. She has a lot of school conflict with different friends and relationships right now. But Amina's also got some conflict at home. Not just Amina about her uncle visiting, but her brother faces a lot of pressure. And we're writing all of this down on this plot mountain so we can keep track of things. We have to make notes to keep track. Okay, so that's your first assignment today, is just to make sure your plot mountain is up to date. You don't have to redo it to match mine, but it should look pretty much identical in the way that I wrote it. So that's your first assignment, is to make sure you have a plot mountain completely updated. You can also put some notes here about what you learned or what you added. I want to see you guys not just checking boxes over here, but make a little note to yourself about what stuck with you when we did plot mountain. Maybe this is your first time watching a video about plot mountain and you're going, whoa, I didn't realize There was so many different levels. On your notes paper, you'll jot down a little idea. Okay. Number 2. So I'm doing a lot of recapping in this video. Your second assignment is you're just going to remember some parts about Amina's identity and what's important in this story. So again, if you've not read the book, it's okay. I'm going to catch you up. Last week, we talked about identity. And I told you guys that you guys know the strategy characters are complicated. But I want to not just prepare you for this year. I want to give you strategies to take into middle school. And one of the ways characters become super complicated is because it's not just things like friendship. And it's not just things about like growing up. Their problems in life get more complicated. Because maybe there's something about their life and their identity and who they are that affects the story. So we've learned, or rather you guys learned a lot about segregation and the civil rights movement. And so one of the big things is that race is a huge part of identity because segregation is based on separating people by race, black and white. And even we've had racism with people who are not just black and white. But race is very important to people's identity in that setting. Then we also, you guys read a lot about Susan B. Anthony and the women's right to vote. So this would be a big part of identity is gender, because you only had the right to vote if you were a man earlier in history. So characters that were female, that's a huge part of their identity. Some other things is that sometimes when you guys read books, poverty and money are a huge part of characters' identity. And we can connect that to our own life. So sometimes authors create characters who are extremely wealthy or living in poverty to teach us lessons because that's important to their identity. Okay. Sometimes authors create characters who have disabilities because they want to teach us a lesson about disability. And so they make that a part of a character's identity. And you guys can start typing because you know where I'm going with this. We used this chart last week to talk about what's important for Amina's identity. Because in this book, it's not really a character's money. There's nothing about Amina's wealth that's important in this book. Amina is a female, but she's not had any problems or conflict being female. So even though she is a girl, that's not super important to who she is in this book. Okay? And someone said it, nationality. Nationality is the country you come from. And you guys can think, like I said last week, of all the flags in the classroom. Nationality is so important to our character's identity because Amina's family comes from Pakistan. And her family culture that comes from Pakistan is so important in this book. Her uncle and the language, the religion, the food, everything about Amina's nationality or coming from Pakistan is important in this book. Awesome. There's also, that's the one that's most important so far. Okay. Age. Okay. Amina is in 6th grade, but is that a problem for her? She's not faced challenges because she's young. Okay. This is one that we're going to focus on today. And this is what I talked to you guys about. Nationality is Pakistan. That's the country she comes from. But in this chapter that you read today, this one is going to come up. The author has created Amina because the author wants us to learn some lessons about culture and other people and respecting other people's beliefs. But the author's also going to be using religion to do that. So I just wanted to remind you guys and recap, what is identity? Identity is who a character is. But it's not just what they like to do. It's not just things for fun. Because someone said that last week and they made a good point. It's things that are about their life and who they are that are more complicated. Okay? So we know she's from Pakistan, and that's been super important in this book. But this one's also going to be super important today. And religion is your belief in God and how the world was created. Okay? So that's assignment 2. Is it just says revisit Amina's identity and what's important in the book. So today you'll make some notes about which of these is most important to Amina so far. And we just talked about that in the video. So you'll be able to tell me it's Amina's nationality and being from Pakistan. Okay? All right. So I'm reminding you of some really good learning we did last week. Okay, number 3, this is cool because we know nationality is important in this book, being from Pakistan. And we know Amina's religion is really going to be important because I've told you it's going to come up. So what I've done is your third assignment is actually a video. It's a brain pop, but it's on Google Drive. I just recorded it. And it's about a holiday that Muslims celebrate called Ramadan. So it actually helps you learn more about her religion. So your third assignment, I've not even read the chapter yet. You guys are going to watch that Ramadan video on Google Drive. And then I want you to not just watch the video about Ramadan. I want you to connect that to Amina's life. If you guys have been reading the chapters, this will be super easy. You'll be like, oh yeah, I remember in chapter 2. If you've not read the book yet, then when you watch the Ramadan video, you're going to say, wow, I learned a lot about her religion. And then you're going to keep little notes because when you read chapter 5 today, you're going to be making connections to that brain pop video like crazy. That's what I want to see. Is this is all about when you watch the brain pop, I want you to make connections to the book. I want you to say, hey, that's something the author talked about, or hey, that's something Amina talked about, or I've noticed that's happened in the book. Okay? So that's on Google Drive. And someone made a really good comment. Yeah, religion is part of culture. Culture is music, it's holidays, it's food, but it's also religion, absolutely. So you guys are noticing really good, complicated. This is why characters become complicated, is it becomes about culture and the way they live. Okay, so that's it so far. Is a lot of recap, a lot of remembering the story, and then you guys are going to read chapter 5 today on your own, and you're going to look for the tension to put on here. Because in chapter 5, there is some tension going on. There's something that's making you go, oh, and the character's kind of nervous. And you're going to add chapter 5. So you're going to look for the tension. And then you're going to say, where did it happen? School or her community? And then who did it happen with? There's definitely another challenge Amina has in chapter 5. So when you read chapter 5, you're going to say, what is that challenge? Okay? So far today, lots of recap, a little bit of reading. And then on the back, if you have not done last week's writing assignment or last week's questions, you need to make sure you do those. Make sure I've fully answered and turned in. They're called question 2 and question 8. And you're going to not just answer those questions, how does it go with identity? So you're going to need this to answer your questions that were from last Thursday. Not very many people did that work, and it's not just a grade. I wouldn't give you a question like that if I didn't think it was an important idea. So I'm giving extra time for people to finish those 2 questions from Thursday. But I want you guys to notice how important this is. How many times do I keep going back to this idea about Amina's identity and why her being from Pakistan is so important and why her being Muslim is so important? So today is all about learning about her religion. It's all about the video and connecting ideas. So make sure you take lots of notes today and follow these assignments in order. Okay? And that's today's work. That's it. Okay? I'm going to stay on here for another minute or so and answer questions, and also remind you guys that you have my phone number. You can email me on Canvas. You can dojo me if you get stuck. Please do that, because I'm here to help you guys from 9:30 to 5 full on. But if you don't text me till 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30, that makes it way more difficult. So I'm here the whole day, okay? And don't think, oh, I can't. It's not you're bothering me. You're on your own. So normally I would walk around and check in with you, and I can't. So don't feel, it's just like raising your hand. Don't feel like you're bothering me. Just communicate with me. Hey, this part's tricky. If you've not been reading the book, you might find today kind of tricky. So communicate with me. All right? So that's today's work. You guys are revisiting Plot Mountain, and I kind of retaught what that is. This is on Google Drive. You guys, in this video, recapped identity and what identity is, and we talked about why these two are so important in the book, that they keep repeating, and that everything about her culture keeps coming up in the book. So the author wants to teach us about her culture. You guys are going to watch that Ramadan video, and you're going to make connections. You're going to say, oh, I notice how this is like Amina's story. And then you guys are reading chapter 5 on your own. As long as you follow this list, this has every single thing you need. Okay? Questions, you got to communicate with me. But you guys are free to go. If you have a question about anything, ask it here. Ask it now. Otherwise, you guys can go, and this video will be in the reading playlist. I'll go ahead and put Google Drive in the chat. So there's that. It's the same link every day. All right. All right. So I'll wait another minute. Mario, you're going to have to rewatch this entire video. All right, so good. Someone's left and gone to work. If you've joined late or you've just come on, every video is saved in the playlist. And this is your only video today. This is it. So if you need to restart it and have all your supplies, then go ahead, go get all your supplies, go get a drink if you need it, and then go ahead and get your papers from last week. Open up Google Drive and work through your assignments today. All right, I'm not getting any questions though. Got another 3 seconds. So I'll look back through. And so really what I want to see is who is talking about the learning today. The people who are talking about the learning are getting green participation. So I had Kevin chime in a couple times, Bailey, not just people saying yeah or okay. Pedro reminded us that nationality is really important in this book. Angel made that comment about culture, nationality, and how all this goes together. Awesome. You are not doing 2 truths and a lie today because I wanted to give everyone a fresh start on Monday. So I didn't want to make anyone feel bad about not reading the book. Instead, I recapped the entire book for people that joined us. We'll be doing 2 truths and a lie tomorrow. We're going to be picking up our competition tomorrow. But I wanted to give everyone a chance to just, okay? All right, so I'm going to end the video now. This video is going to go in the reading playlist. And I am going to remind you, please follow the instructions. If you follow the instructions, it will guide you through everything. All right, and that's it for today. Thanks, guys. Bye.